Okay, in the past, this question is for Ms. Howard, Mr. Umstead, and Mr. Nicely. In the past, council members have given the impression that they are uninterested in supporting the efforts of our businesses and organizations that are trying hard to help revitalize our downtown historic district. How would you seek to correct that impression? Ms. Howard?
So they're saying that the council has given the impression that they do not care about.
They are uninterested in supporting the efforts of our businesses and organizations that are trying to help revitalize our downtown historic district.
I find that extremely unfortunate because the downtown district is the heart of Clifton Forge, and if there are people who have not been listening to the business owners who are the ones that are bringing in all of the revenue and bringing in customers, and that's very disheartening that those people feel like they've not been heard. The only way that I can say that I would change that is that I would be available to listen. I would make sure that their voices were heard, and that I would make sure that their concerns made it to the table, made it to the council, and made sure that the town manager and everybody else involved would be hearing their thoughts, and I would have to just force them to be interested in what's going on, even if they don't want to be.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Umstead?
Yes, I find this an interesting question. Very interesting. Almost sad. And anybody are they saying that I'm this person?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just in the past. This is
In the past?
in the past.
Well, as I trip through town at least 5 or 6 times a week, we stop into almost 90% of the businesses in town and talk to people. See what we can do to help them, what we can do to help any way that we can help them. And we've talked to tons of people. The people that I talk to, though, seem to be relatively happy with what's going on. They were very ecstatic about the matching grant that was set up to help the storefronts. So as I walk through town tomorrow, I will ask them again to find out what they think I can do to help them. I mean, when I go visit them, it seems like 7 or 8 people always follow us in there, so she's glad that I come in. I think the downtown is doing a lot better than people think it's doing. I think 90% of the people down there are extremely happy with what's going on. I think they like what the council is doing to help spruce things up. The only gripe I hear now for the last month is a river flowing down Ridgeway. And right now that's being worked on. A guy came to our town council meeting and told us maybe by the end of October, the middle of November, that'll be addressed and taken care of. But anybody on Main Street that has a problem, any ideas they want to deal with, come and tell us. Come and tell us. Don't wait for one of these meetings to do it. Just come and tell us. Or tell me, I'll tell them. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nicely?
If true, that's sad. Small businesses in this town that's the lifeblood. I mean, that's what makes this town. If we don't have small businesses, we're just a very large subdivision. But we need small businesses. I mean, incentives, if there was any way you could do something to bring them in, or the ones that are here, listen to them, find out what's going on. You know, the small business that I'm involved in, I eventually want to move it into town and have a building somewhere. I would like to be able to be heard by a council or a government when I do that, you know. So it's very sad, and if elected, I would pay attention to every single one of the businesses because they are the life of this community.
Thank you. This is for the 3 incumbents. Council members have to join community committees, like the Allegheny Highlands Chamber Board or the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission. What committees are you involved in, and are you an active participant? Mr. Burdett.
Right now, the committee that I am serving on is actually not related to the town. It's the Bicentennial Committee. So that is for Allegheny County right now, and we're getting ready to have a bicentennial celebrated this weekend. For the town of Clifton Forge, I've just recently reached out to the Parks and Trails Committee Chair, Courtney, but I haven't been able to attend. That was within the past week or two, so I have not been able to attend any of those meetings yet.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Laudermilk?
I am commissioner on the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission. I am an active member. We have not had a meeting in the last month and a half. We do have a meeting coming up on the 29th. That particular commission is a great resource for our region and our town for all kinds of resources, be it grants, grant writing, and other things that are available, but that's what I'm involved with.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Umstead?
I was appointed to a committee that I have not met with yet. I was appointed, I think, in June or July, and every time they've had a meeting, I had to tooth pulled one time. The meeting they're supposed to have on the 29th, I'll be in Richmond. I always attended those meetings and really attended those meetings and really liked the involvement of what they had for Clifton Forge. I really like being part of that and working with Teresa Hammond and dealing with those people that are coming here. But I have not attended a meeting in probably 3 months.
What committee is that?
Chuck? The SID committee.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you very much. This is for the non-incumbents. The challenges currently facing the town of Clifton Forge have generated much discussion. The community is looking for solutions. Please identify 3 issues you find most frustrating and what specific solutions you would propose for each. Ms. Howard?
Well, I know something that's brought up very, very commonly is the racial divide in town. We have worked on events and projects trying to close that divide. I know that there are people who feel that their voices are not heard or that they feel maybe they're not welcome in every space, but I think as long as we continue to reach out and say that everybody is welcome, that they'll feel it, and that at some point we'll all be able to come together a lot more frequently and to get everything resolved. With other issues, I'm trying to think. We talk about there's not enough for youth to do. We've been talking about having more events with the Parks and Trails Committee. We've got lots of beautiful outdoor spaces that we can use for youth events. We have indoor spaces that are, great as well. We're working with, there's people talking about buying the armory, but we still have the armory that can be used for indoor activities. Dances, socials. We've been discussing a lot of different events that we can do to try to bring more activities for youth. And then another thing that I think has been brought up, and I've brought it up several times, is accessibility in our area. And we need to work on, making all of our facilities more accessible. We're working on the accessible part. And we need to make sure that not only, physical disabilities and other things like that, we need to make sure that the town is just accessible to everyone who wants to be here and wants to come in and speak and talk to anyone or wants to participate in any of our events.
Thank you. Mr. Nicely?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure. The challenges currently facing the town of Clifton Forge have generated much discussion. The community is looking for solutions. Please identify the 3 issues you find most frustrating and what specific solutions you would propose for each.
Well, first would probably be the water leak. We got to get that fixed before it freezes, or stock it. But storefronts, some way to dress it up where it's, like I said again, it's attractive. And I do agree with Ms. Howard, the accessibility for children and people with disabilities. And I also think the age division in this town, we seem to be on 2 different levels. We've got young people saying these things or wanting to do this, and then older people doing this, and just, I think there needs to be bring those two groups together, but, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Mr. Bastine?
The main one is it's just accountability of the council. A lot of people tell me it's like, okay, bring the issue to me and I bring it to Chuck. I know Chuck, and you can go directly to Chuck at any time. And I think that's the main problem people have with the council. So that's a big issue. Bring it to me and I bring it to Chuck. The solution to that issue is, tell them how to get to Chuck, or make something focused where Chuck can get the issues, because a lot of times, I take it to you, I take it to a council member, and it never gets to Chuck, or he never knows about it. I mean, things happen. I'm not faulting any other council members. I know, they have a lot of other things, and sometimes it slips their mind, but that's a big issue. My thing to solve that is maybe some sort of ticketing system. You call up some service desk at Clifton Forge, and you open up a ticket, and it goes to Chuck. That way Chuck can handle it. The council should just be working on new policies and things like that for the town. The next thing, like what Courtney said, the racial divide, with the town. Like we all have to come together. I mean, I experienced some racism in this town also, not from everybody, but some people. We gotta let people know that has no place in this town. We need to we need to find out who's racist and run them out of here. And the last thing, when Mrs. Nicely said the water bill, I mean, we gotta get that kind of thing under control. I mean, I've been paying like $150, $160 all the time for water. I mean, going over water. I mean, New York City doesn't pay that. I mean, they pay about $900 a year for water. I mean, we're somewhere like $1,200. I mean, I think that's a little bit too high for the people in this community.
Thank you very much. The next question is for Ms. Laudermilk and Mr. Burdette. Given the fact that much of our water and sewer infrastructure is in an increasing state of decay, would you ask fellow council members to join you in making a budget line item to create an ongoing annual fund for capital improvements? Explain your answer. We'll start with Ms. Laudermilk.
Absolutely. This is a priority in this town. Our water and sewer lines are pretty archaic, and we are suffering the consequences now. So yes, I would absolutely want to work with our other council members to work in a budget line item so that we can get ahead of these infrastructure failures, maybe become a little more proactive more than reactive, and unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. We just seem to, it's sort of like a domino effect. When one thing goes bad, like the water line, the next thing goes bad right on top of it. But yes, I would absolutely like to work with council to work that in as a line item, because that is going to be an ongoing expense for us for years to come.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burdette.
I have to agree that obviously it is a dated system. We have some really old pipes in town. You got to really understand first about infrastructure. Whenever you avoid infrastructure just because revenues are smaller, it's hard to ever catch back up, whether you're trying to catch up on sewer and water or roads. It's really tough. So the second thing is, I don't know if everybody understands that water is an enterprise system. It has to pay for itself. So the price of it goes up in order to cover the cost. So I would definitely I wouldn't be against that, but I alternatively would like to propose to see if we could reach an agreement with like one of these water authorities. The Western Virginia Water Authority in Roanoke, I mean, guys, if you ever watch the news, Roanoke City and Roanoke County agreeing on something, it's a rarity. So they joined together for water. They've also joined into Botetourt County and Franklin County. When you have an authority, if they would agree to take us in, you can spread the cost, a lot better, and they're better adept at handling things like that. So I would really like to try to seek that out. I know some people are worried about us, giving up power of our water that we sell, but water's an enterprise system, and it should break even. It's not really here to gain a profit. And imagine how great our town hall would be if our administrators and stuff weren't busy dealing with the water. They could do all the other things we like to do in town. But I would like to explore the West Virginia Water Authority.
Thank you. This is for the incumbents. We have gone through perhaps the most consequential 2 years in the history of the town, from a declining population to a global pandemic. What specific action did you take to illustrate how the town of Clifton Forge benefited from your presence on the town council during your last term? We'll start with Mr. Umstead.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the last 2 or 3 years, our town's budget has been the best it's been in probably the last 10 years. And that came off the heels of, I introduced 2 meal taxes that raised meal taxes 2 cents from 3 to 5, and then it went from 5 to 7. The meal tax money has really gone a long ways towards saving us. And when you think about it, when I talk to the people at the restaurants, probably 60 to 75% of the meals tax is from people outside of Clifton Forge that are coming here to eat, that are helping us pay our taxes. That, I think I was very instrumental in getting that done. I think we just have to keep on top of things and keep pushing things a little bit, because the last thing I would ever do, ever want to do, is raise property tax or personal tax in Clifton Forge. We couldn't raise it enough to help us. But what Dale talked about, the water authority, I have checked into it. Our system right now, if our infrastructural system for water and sewage went down, I've mentioned numbers. Chuck told me it could be between $40 and $60 million. And every time Debbie and I go walking, we see those places someplace doing something. I think I would like to look into a new water structure. First of all, our water bill is broken up into 2 areas, water and sewage. Our water is $40.20, and our sewage is almost double that. So it's the sewage, and that's our relationship with the county, that's causing that problem. The water is $40. The sewage is the problem. But I agree, we got to get on top of this to fix it, because somewhere down the road, if this whole structure breaks down, I don't care how much we pay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Wendy,
Yep.
do you want to end it here, or you want to ask one more question?
I've got 2 more people to answer, and we can end it then.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Dale Burdette, did you already answer that? No.
I did not. Can you repeat it just to make sure I understand?
Yep. We have gone through perhaps the most consequential 2 years in the history of the town, from a declining population to a global pandemic. What specific action did you take to illustrate how the town of Clifton Forge benefited from your presence on the town council during your last term?
Well, I did not serve during the pandemic, but I have served post-pandemic. To be clear, the number one thing for me is me getting involved. I was not involved until this pandemic. The pandemic made me really think, and I think a lot of people understand the importance of government, and that's what really made me want to get involved. Like I said, I am pro-local business, I'm pro-resident, and so basically if anyone's hurting, businesses obviously hurt. They struggled through the pandemic. So anything that came before council, I think that I've supported that helped local businesses, or anything favorable to residents.
Okay, thank you. Uh-oh. Ms. Laudermilk.
Okay, I, like Dale, was not on council during the pandemic. I am post-pandemic, or post the majority of the pandemic. But I would have to agree with Dale in that my big thing is, it was never in my sights to become a politician, which I hate that word, but getting involved in town council I was approached by certain people to do this, and I have found it very rewarding. And I think that I have a very positive attitude that can help shed some light on things that may have seemed dimmer in the past. I hope that I can continue to do that, but that's what I've got.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that winds up tonight. I want to thank the theater, the Historic Masonic Theatre, for hosting this. Thank the candidates. You all did awesome in your times. It was great, great answers. The community got to learn things about you. Thank you all for attending. Thank the Community Gathering Committee. I want to remind everyone that next Tuesday night at the theater, the Chamber of Commerce is hosting another forum, and there will be another candidate conversation in October. Thank you all for coming, and have a great night. And if you'd like to talk to the candidates, they'll be around for a little bit.